Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the NerdHavenPodcast. We are doing episode 8. 11 today. What did I say? 8?
Are we just guessing random numbers?
Yeah. I was looking at the number 11 too, but number 8 just came up in my head. Today, we're back with my co-host John Aaron, as per usual. Hello, John.
Hello, Mr. Nine. Wait. Who's that? Do we have someone else here?
We do. Light.
Oh boy, who's that?
We have Light
Hello,
with us
everyone.
today. I'm bringing in Light because I think she has a lot of tension built up against John, and so,
Come on. I thought we were supposed to bring her because she's a specialist in this universe.
Yeah, that too. She's a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, but I just thought that John needs more opposition in some of these podcasts, and who better to do it with than someone that he gives a hard time almost every single day. So,
He's
I
scared.
don't know why.
He's scared because I like Bucky and he just can't freaking get over it.
fucking Bucky. But anyway, today, as you heard, we are covering Guardians of the Galaxy, which is the 10th movie, but our 11th episode because we did Doctor Strange first.
And we did it for a very good reason, as was established in the previous episode. Thank you very much.
Yes, John has to defend it, and I have to bring it up every time. But Light, how are you doing? And are you excited to talk about this movie?
Oh yeah, I'm doing great, and yeah, I'm super excited to talk about this movie.
Just to start it off, I think I don't know where John's stance is going to be in this movie. We stopped trying to understand John Aaron, and now we just go along with it.
Mhm.
But
Well, why don't you tell me, where do you think I stand when it comes to this movie?
I don't think you liked it as much as Light and I. Am I correct?
Well, I would have to know how much you and Light actually like it.
Okay, so just to put it in perspective, I put this movie right behind Iron Man for me. I absolutely loved Guardians of the Galaxy. What about you, Light?
It's high up there. I would almost have to agree with what you said. With Iron Man has its I don't know how to say it, like unique quality where that movie is trying to draw people, and Guardians of the Galaxy to me it's almost like chaotic fun.
Mm-hmm. That was a DM reference. John, so the thing is, I understand that you like dramatic storytelling, right? You like when there's a lot of weight put into a story or into a character. I feel like in this movie, even though there is like some slight weight to their mission or whatever, it's more about the chaos that Light mentioned, the fun energy. This movie is thematically a lot more fun than other movies, and I don't think you like that. So that is my guess.
It's pretty much the exact, I would say, opinion I had before I went into this movie. I fully expected this to be like, how would I describe it? Cheap comedy, freaking space nonsense sci-fi for kids, over relying on music that is like highly recognizable. I usually hate those. I usually find it a bit cringe or kind of like cheating. And I'm not gonna lie, like on my first watch, when I heard these terms as Kree, Zendar, Ravagers, Chunkers, I was definitely a bit confused. It was quite overwhelming, and when you sprinkle Thanos into it all, and when you like combine this like fun space adventure with like world-ending stuff, I was a bit. It was a bit confusing at first. Like I was kind of getting lost at
just
who
overwhelming,
is who,
kind of
what they're supposed to do. But very soon, I actually realized that even though this movie, this series, is supposed to be everything I hate about MCU, about superhero movies, for some reason, I found the character synergies and the imaginative world building and the genius transitions between incredible music and action scenes and then back into the music. I thought this was a work of art in many ways. I'm not
Wow.
really familiar
Wow.
with the person behind this. I know that he is, of course, a very good
James Gunn.
director.
Yeah.
Thank you, James Gunn. I almost said James Cameron. I'm glad I didn't. But like even the fact that this movie kind of holds a record for me when it comes to a movie that helped me recognize so many Marvel snap cards that I used and was too afraid to ask, what the hell is like this guy who I don't know, the oh my god, what's his name, the bad guy of this movie, the
Ronan.
uh, yeah, Ronan the Accuser. Random card in Marvel Rivals. I had no idea it was from this particular Guardians of the Galaxy genre, but hey, I recognized it, and this definitely helped me immediately like appreciate the movie even more. So it's not my favorite movie that we have
I
watched.
didn't think it would be,
I,
but I'm
I can tell
surprised.
you that much. But I am highly character driven, I've noticed.
Hmm.
And this movie has some of the most hilarious, amazing characters. This movie is essentially many of my RP adventures I have ever witnessed personally and RP'd out on like random servers. And most importantly, like the freaking casting. Like immediately I notice fucking Kirk from Gilmore Girls, and I'm like marking out. This is amazing. I love Kirk, and like him being one of the Ravagers or Junkers was amazing. And like the sommelier from John Wick 2, I immediately recognize him too. Just his face is just so recognizable. Just so many cool things that I want to go over. And although I do agree with your initial assessment, M9, it almost couldn't be further from the truth because there is a lot to love about this movie.
That's I'm really surprised, but I'm smiling ear to ear right now because I'm so happy that you actually picked up on a lot of those things that made you enjoy it. Like, what did you like based on John's assessment that he just said? What do you also like some of those things that he mentioned, or do you get something completely different out of this movie? Do you enjoy more of the chaos energy, or what is it that you like most?
Um, well, I of course rewatched it. And I've seen this movie like so many times, and
Same.
I the the beginning part, especially like with Quill
The
going
intro.
on to that planet to go, yeah, the intro to go get the orb, and as soon as he puts on the headphones and that music is starting, and you're seeing like those little rat things coming after him.
Mm.
I thought it was just perfect. Just a person out there just having fun, even though this planet is going to waste,
Yeah,
right?
desolate. Yeah.
And I just felt, yeah, and I just felt like the music choice that was there, him singing, like, quote, quote, singing to the song, and just like kicking the rats. That is like the start of the chaotic or the chaos
Yeah,
that's going to
because
be coming.
that intro scene tells you exactly what this movie is going to be. It
Hmm.
it sets up the tone immediately from the beginning, and you understand that it is going to be a little bit silly, that it is kind of visually appealing as well, and that the music is going to be its own character in this movie, and it just gets started right away.
Hmm.
Yeah, of all the movies we have watched and probably we will ever watch, the music is the most important part of this franchise, I would say, even more than Iron Man. Like,
I
of
agree.
course, Iron Man has his entrance music, and whenever he is on the scene, there's like some kind of cool 80s song playing. But like this movie, it's a part of the story. Like it's a part
Correct.
of the setting. It's a part of the atmosphere. It builds up characters. It builds up stories, and it's just so well implemented.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. so now, and here I thought that we were just gonna be fighting John the entire time. So we have to switch gears a little bit here because I came in, I was good, I was coming in hot. I was gonna be aggressive. But you brought up a point earlier, right? When you mentioned the Marvel Snap and how some of these characters you found you understood, where they came from and where they fit in. And I think that that's one of the things that this movie succeeded the most on is the fact that for the majority of people, and Solitaire can come at me for this, for saying this, nobody knew who the fuck the Guardians of the Galaxy were. This was the first time I feel that Marvel threw characters at us that were not very popular, that most people didn't know who they were. Yet they sold us on these characters and they worked perfectly. And this movie became a huge hit with, a cast of basically unknown characters to the casual moviegoer.
And even though it's very colorful, even though it's in certain degrees lighthearted, it's not a movie that would insult your intelligence. It's not a movie that would be exclusively for kids. There are some deep topics. My goodness, like whenever Thanos first shows up, like the things he has to say, like the gravitas about him. Maybe this movie doesn't exactly again put him, as this strong world-ending threat, but like I wrote his quote down. I can't find it, but it is rather impressive.
No, yeah, I think the movie from the beginning, even when with understanding later on Quill's kind of background and his like abandonment issues and things like that, it's like it does deal with some heavy stuff. And later on in future Guardians of the Galaxy, it only gets even heavier too. So, but I think it does it does so in a way that it still keeps it light enough so that no pun intended, light. it still keeps it light enough so that you can still enjoy the ride, but it gives you a minute to kind of sit back and say, well, holy crap, this is a part of this character story, or when you look at the bond between Groot and Rocket, there is more than just like the superficial relationship that you're seeing. Did you find the quote?
No. I probably deleted. I probably wrote over it like everything that freaking Dave Bautista had to say, because my goodness, that character is just so freaking hilarious. David Bautista plays every single character I have ever played in RP, I feel like. Like, he speaks to my soul. Like, some of his comments are just, spare me your foul gaze, woman, and just like, cease your yammering and relieve us from this urgent confinement. It's just so incredible.
Initially, and I would love to kind of hear you guys' opinion. Initially, I didn't like Bautista as Drax.
What?
I just felt, I don't know, it felt a bit wooden to me until I realized that that's exactly what Drax is supposed to feel like. And to me, it just felt like a wrestler that was hired to play a character, even though his acting ability isn't the best. But time and again, Dave Bautista has proved that he's probably one of the best wrestlers turned actors.
He is the best. Like,
Yes.
I have absolutely no doubt. And he is probably the best because he doesn't have this arrogant ego about him. He's
Correct.
not like The Rock that will only play in movies that will make him come across as strong.
Correct.
Apart from Tooth Fairy, of course. But like, I love the fact that he's playing this dumb meathead, completely literal character, a walking thesaurus, as they called him. And he has this tragic backstory, but it doesn't yes, it does heavily affect him, but he still lives on and does amazing things, and like
Yeah.
still, seeks to replace his family, with this ragtag group of adventurers, and it's incredible. Like I love everything about him. Like Dave Bautista is hilarious. Every time he says anything, I'm just laughing my ass off.
Yeah, he's great.
Mhm.
He's like a comedic relief when he's not intended to be, truly,
And he yells everything he says. It's like, "Ah!"
It's like how are you so wrong so confidently? But anyway, like how do you feel about Dave Bautista and just seeing him in this movie and as an actor or even as just Drax?
Well, like I used to watch him. I used to watch wrestling, and I always liked his character when he played it because he almost went through that whole back and forth situation if anybody has watched wrestling. And then all of a sudden, you see all these wrestlers going out making movies. Some of them are good, some of them are really bad. But with him, I've seen some, and I felt like he just gets better and better and better. So when he was playing Drax, I was like excited because I wanted to see how he's going to portray him. And it was kind of cool because at the same time, it's like, like you said, a wrestler playing an actor, and I felt like he was acting as a wrestler, if that makes sense, and in the lines and everything he was doing, it's comic. It's funny, and I loved
And
it.
it only gets better as the movies progress.
I agree.
feel like.
Yeah.
I agree. His character gets more fleshed out. He gets more settled in. And that initial hesitation that I had with his character was a me problem, not being able to see the character over Batista. Like I just saw Batista. But then it was like, no, just let it go and realize that that's what the character is. He's not what I initially thought was bad acting was a character choice. And the standing there, the looking kind of dumbfounded, or like he didn't fit in, or he didn't understand some of the innuendos and stuff like that. Is like, no, that's what the character's supposed to be. So it completely
They
proved
did a
me
great
wrong.
choice when it comes to casting him, I feel like, for this, because
Agreed.
he's also an incredibly genuine person in real life. I actually saw a few of his interviews, saw his like workouts and stuff, and he's a really nice guy. Like a
Yeah.
bunch of the wrestlers are kind of like whiny bitches, like freaking assholes. John Cena, I would say, is also like one of the cool ones, apart from his opinions on China and stuff. But like he's also a decent actor. But like to me, Batista is the best of them all. And
I agree.
I'm just so glad that he got this cool role and he played it perfect. He didn't play Batista. He played Drax the Destroyer, and I felt like again, casting just completely on point. They couldn't have picked a better person.
That's
for him.
something that we've talked about before, right? Like how Marvel does such a good job at casting. And for a lot of these roles, I know that there was somebody else that they were looking at for Gamora, but then you see Zoe and you're like, I don't know if I would have liked anyone else to play Gamora. So it's like they completely have it down packed. And even with Vin Diesel as Groot, and he doesn't say anything except for I am Groot.
I love it.
It just works so well. And one of my favorite things is Bradley Cooper as Rocket. I don't understand where Bradley Cooper goes in this performance. I don't hear Bradley Cooper at all. Like I think about like The Hangover.
I agree.
And I'm like, what? Is the voice modulated? Is something happening here? Because I don't hear that actor at all, but that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think them picking actors and choosing them, like you said, Bradley Cooper, Vin Diesel playing Groot, I think it's just so funny. They really, whoever does it, they do their research, and I'm glad that's what people are who are making these movies, who are making the scripts and all that stuff. They are doing their research.
Yeah,
Because if they're not, then we wouldn't be here watching these movies.
Yeah, movies can go wrong really easily when you don't buy an actor's performance or an actor in that role. And I don't think
Mhm.
that's ever really been an issue in Marvel movies.
They're not just putting like random famous people, that they can
Mm-mm.
get their hands on. They're putting random famous people that literally embody those characters.
Right. Yeah. I feel like I would have liked to hear Groot say, "We are family," but but
Words. He
Well, you
says a
gotta wait for
couple
the third movie.
words.
yeah, he says different. Um,
I find it hilarious that Vin Diesel is mentioned second on IMDb. It's like,
yeah.
the co-star of the movie.
But one of the
Mhm.
things that he did that not everyone else did is he did all the voice lines for Groot in every language. Which is,
That's cool.
just 3 words, but he did it in every single translation. Not every actor did that, so.
Very cool.
See, and that's another actor that, growing up watching and all that stuff, and just a simple. Can you imagine going up to Vin Diesel and say, "Hey, can you just say these 3 words?"
Over and over
And there's
again.
going to be a couple of words. Yeah, exactly. It's like, somebody who is a major film star, action movie star, all that stuff, is playing a tree that says 3 words.
Right. Yeah, and somebody that
Yeah.
somebody more prideful would probably not do it, right? Because
Mhm.
1, you don't see my face. 2, the voice is slightly different. You might not even know that it's me. So it's like, what's the point? But I think it works out so well for Groot.
Yep. Mhm.
So I presume that all of you are fans of Groot and Rocket.
Yes.
Yes.
I am rocking Maine now. I announced that.
I thought I would hate
Official.
them like completely. I thought that stupid little rat or whatever it is, the raccoon. I thought it would just be like Jar Jar Binks, of this franchise. And I just, whenever I first saw him, I immediately was sold. Like the voice actor, whoever narrated him, is of course amazing. And of course, later on, you realize how much depth and very
Mhm.
sad backstory is there,
Mhm.
for the Rocket, and how loyal he is, and his relationship or his friendship, with Groot is incredible. And Groot is just such a gentle giant. He is,
Yeah.
of course, so tanky. He's incredibly OP, but he's used in the most perfect way. And even though I thought that he died a bit early, of course, I'm spoiling stuff from the end of the movie. I would probably like to see him in this final form of his a bit later. I'm
Yeah.
not much of a fan of like younger, characters growing up. I thought it was like, hey, it's whatever. Maybe they dealt with the problem that he was too powerful, and we'll get to see his essentially not quite backstory, origin story, from the very beginning. So it was an interesting choice, artistic. I get it. We'll wait for the second movie whether I like it or not, but I definitely enjoyed these 2 characters. And you also mentioned Gamora. I just want to say that the stories of Gamora's ass were not exaggerated. I was definitely also sold the moment I saw it. I have never seen a movie with Zoe Saldana. I don't think so. But yes, the stories of her ass
Well, you
are
should
quite true.
probably watch
Oh my
Avatar
gosh.
at some point.
Oh, I see.
With her, she is like a hidden actress, I swear. Like, if you were to Google her, you start to kind of see like what she's in, and all of a sudden realize she was in that movie. And then when you watch it, you're like, oh, now I see.
Yeah. She's been
She's
in
like a hidden
some
gem.
major projects, and um not like I don't know, not like a name that you hear every day as far as like celebrities, but she has been in some successful stuff, with Avatar and the MCU being the main ones, but um a lot of smaller films that she did really well on. I love her as an actress. I think not because she's, Hispanic, but she's great.
She is very good. I love her brooding, I would say, confidence. She is one of those
Mhm.
ladies where I buy her confidence. She's not sassy. She is powerful. She's strong, and she knows it.
Mhm.
She doesn't have to show it. She does the strength. She doesn't say, like, talk about it.
Yeah, it's a
You know that she could slice you in half, if you pissed her off.
yeah, good female character, I guess, because like not over sexualized, not made into a damsel either, and no nonsense type of thing, but also shown like a softer side, and allowing us in basically as the audience without feeling like she was too dismissive. And I think they did a great job with the character.
Indeed, but obviously, we all know that there is something extremely alluring about her sister Nebula just freaking out and being so cold and aggro. And I've never really been into robot chicks, but
Oh my
a
God.
contortionist with deep black eyes,
I should
sign
have
me in.
seen this one coming. I should have seen the fact that John would be attracted to the mentally broken down and physically broken down
She
robot
grows.
chick.
She develops.
goodness.
She evolves, and she's so angry, and it's amazing. And she just want to be the good sister. I mean, the strong sister, And really like her.
Yeah.
She's just so intense,
She is one of my favorite actresses since Doctor Who. So when I watched Doctor Who, that's where I first saw her. And when I found out, she started doing movies, I just love her. And then I was excited for her to play Nebula. I was like, yes, I am so happy for you growing, from going from Doctor Who to
that's
here.
awesome.
So, yeah.
I've never watched Doctor Who. That's too nerdy for me.
That is a lot of them,
Wow.
right? A lot of Doctor Who's.
I
It's a
tried.
multiverse,
I did
essentially.
actually try to watch the show, and I found it incredibly boring. And people are like, "No, you have to get past all that." And I'm like, "I'm not gonna watch 6 seasons of a show in order to like it. I'm sorry."
There's 100 billion seasons. You want to know? There's 26 seasons.
Oh my God!
And
Have you ever
I
heard
only
that from
like.
someone? It's like, no, you have to. The first 2 seasons aren't that good. And I'm like, so you want me to watch 3 seasons before I actually like a show? No. So, and that's what's gonna happen with John watching Game of Thrones. No,
Oh boy. Well, before we get to that, how do you guys feel about Quill?
I like Quill. I was a big fan of Chris from Parks and Rec. I thought that he was hilarious. In fact, he was liked so much as a character that he was supposed to be a completely side character, and they kind of wrote him into the show a lot more because the fans loved him. And he was like the perfect fit for Quill. And while at times he does come across as unlikable and obnoxious, there's something likable, inside, and that's his vulnerability, and that's his sense of need for approval because of his abandonment issues. And when you look at that stuff behind the mask, it's very relatable, I feel.
Right?
What about you guys?
I agree. I'm trying to remember when I actually saw or watched Chris Pratt in a movie, and nothing recalls. Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, might be my first official seeing them, which now I'm gonna have to Google it and see.
Yeah, because I think he went from Parks and Rec straight to Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not sure if he was in other movies.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, it's
I
fine.
think he was in Garfield.
Oh yeah, I think that was after though. But
Yeah, there's a lot of
I'm guessing that
Oh,
you're not a
he's-
huge fan,
he's in
John,
movies.
or
I always thought I would hate him. I don't quite recall a movie. I thought he was in Suicide Squad, but I'm probably thinking of Eddie Murphy or whatever he is. The other black guy. What's his name? Oh my God,
Will
I'm
Smith?
so sorry. Will Smith, thank you.
Wow.
Not Eddie Murphy. Is that the one he slapped in that No, that was a different black guy.
that
Sorry.
was Chris Rock.
Oh, thank you. They all look the same. So anyway, now that I'm officially cancelled, I thought I would dislike him. For some reason, I just had this expectation that Chris Pratt and me wouldn't get along. but I also found him a bit, I don't know, a bit too thick to play Star-Lord, who, in my opinion, is like a squishy character, just flies about and does like, and just shoots everything. Because I only know Star-Lord from Marvel Rivals, so I expected someone a bit skinnier, but he is very charismatic, but he's also genuine. He does have a lot of baggage, and that's what I like in characters. So, I'm guilty as charged. And I was definitely pleasantly surprised by his performance. I agree with his taste for women. I never thought I would be into full red or green chicks, but apparently I like it. Again, this movie is very imaginative when it comes to world building and when it comes to like these various races, and I like it. Yeah, they all look kind of fancy, and I would be into it. So I cannot really blame him. He's, of course, the traditional space adventurer, who just like bangs everything that moves. That's completely fine. He can definitely pull it off. But I just like the fact that, as you mentioned, his abandonment issues. And one of the best things about him is the fact that he just so desperately wants to have a proper dad. And there are certain tropes that I dislike about movies, but there are also tropes that I absolutely adore in every single capacity. They just speak to my soul. Perhaps because my own dad was kind of shitty, and I'm trying to like relive these moments of joy through other characters. But like Yondu is probably my favorite character in this whole damn movie. So far, it's just one movie that we're talking about, but like the way he calls him,
yeah.
what? It's just so amazing to me. It's so funny, and like he constantly like reminds him, that he didn't get eaten by his crewmates only because of him, and he gave him everything, and he like saved him. Oh, it's amazing, and like this full-on blue space redneck. I'm all in. He's amazing. I
Space
love these
redneck.
scavengers. I thought they would just be like an annoying feature of the movie that I would hate, but like my favorite scene in this movie is at the end when, of course, Quill is smart and he gives Yondu the switcheroo. He gives him like the fake containment, for the Infinity Stone. And what does
Yeah.
Yondu do whenever he realizes it? What does he do whenever he inspects it? He's
He
not angry. He's not
smiles.
mad. He doesn't turn the ship around. He's proud. He
Yeah, a
smiles.
sense
He's
of pride.
happy. He got fucked over. He's like, "That's my boy."
That's basically what it was. Yeah, he was so proud in that moment, and it was awesome.
I was in tears in that moment. Every time I watched this movie, it was amazing. He's such a dead energy, and I
It is.
freaking love his smirks, his accent, his facial expressions, and yeah,
Yeah, and they only dive deeper into that, which is perfect. I feel, as far as
I have
the
no
movies.
comments about that until we watch the second movie, of course.
Yes, of course, of course.
Yes.
So let's talk about the villain, right? Because we always mention the villains, and I usually complain about them, and that's not going to change for this one. I don't like Ronan as an antagonist. I thought he was shallow, and I he just basically served a point to get the Guardians together, and other than that, for me, it was like this movie is about Thanos behind the curtain. Um, Ronan has little to do here.
Watching this movie again kind of makes me think, what the hell is so special about Thanos? Like, this guy could have easily just put, the Infinity Stone into his hammer. He could have contained it, and he could have smacked Thanos around, if he was smart. But instead, of course, he had his own agenda and had to like destroy this planet of people who are actually all kind of likable to me, which surprised me. Like this Federation, these I don't know who they're called, but I really like them all. They were just so friendly and so cool. And usually kind of dislike, the good guys. It's just like, whatever, forgettable. Let the bad guys win and like do their thing. But I kind of got into it. Ronan, of course, wasn't the strongest of villains, but I don't know. I would have probably preferred if they put either more emphasis on Thanos or if they never showed Thanos in here. If he was only like very much in the background. I once again, thought that Ronan kind of overshadowed him, and he's not the best character to overshadow someone like Thanos.
I agree.
So yeah.
What about you, Light?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because it's like you know, the whole goal for him to go get was the stone, right? And
Mhm.
then he had his own agenda, showing Thanos, guess what? Now I have the stone, but I'm not gonna go after you now. I'm gonna go do this first. And what happens? You know? So it's I don't know. With me, sometimes when I look or watch a movie, it's like, just go, why didn't you just go after him first and then go ahead and destroy what you want? You know what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, sometimes villain logic is like you're just serving the story at this point because that was dumb.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
we made
but
the
with
comment before that in all these Marvel movies, the villains are just meant to highlight the heroes. The villains are
mhm.
just there to make the heroes look better. These movies are never really about the villains, um, and this is just another example of that.
Yeah, I think that the movie would have been much better if Ronan worked for the Collector. I found the
Hmm.
Collector quite underused in this movie. I thought he was very cool, very intriguing, and whenever they just exploded him, even though he's supposed to have one of the Infinity Stones, right? I think the Tesseract or something. The Asgardians brought it, like at the end of Thor. So he's supposed to be like stronger. He's supposed to have like some freaking cool shit in there, And it could have been like a cool recurring character too. So yeah, I would have liked if they did more with him. To me, the best part about Ronan was the way he dismissed Batista, just kind of like being like, "I will have my vengeance for my family." It's like bang, and freaking
Yeah,
almost kills
Mhm.
him.
yeah. Just
I don't even know who you are.
and that's kind of how I feel about you will. um, that's kind of how I feel about a lot of these villains. It's not that I dislike the actors or dislike the characters themselves. It's the fact that I always felt they were underused, and the threat sometimes didn't feel as weighty as I would have liked it to be.
Indeed.
Um, but then when we look at apart from the villain, because in this one you have several pieces to like villainy, which is I do think Nebula is villainous in this movie. Um, I think that there's Thanos and and then you have the entirety of the cops or what the hell is the people called? I always forget. Um, that they're also kind of looking for the guardians and stuff like that, so there is a lot of uh I should say the current is against the guardians almost at all times, but it always just enhances our characters, which in this case I think works fairly well because you get to see our characters go through different type of challenges really quickly in this movie, and different type of solutions are needed. So you see, one thing that I really like about this one is that it is kind of an ensemble cast, even though the Guardians are a group. It didn't really feel like the Avengers when you think about you need to give everyone their own attention to make them feel like they're worth it. And in this one, everyone got their own attention, but we got that as a group. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
and like
It
Groot.
wasn't individuals like slapped together. It was a group.
Yeah, yeah. Like Groot got some moments to shine. So did Rocket. So did Gamora. And it always happened, when they were like all together and kind of kicking ass. And I love that because at the end of the day, they're a unit.
Yeah, in many ways, I feel like this is a much better version of Avengers, like a group of heroes that are together. It's probably because all of these characters are kind of like a family. Whenever they are on an adventure, they are on an adventure together. They're all experiencing it like almost at the same time or for each other.
Hmm.
Whereas I feel like whenever you have the Avengers, they all have their own goals, dreams, agendas.
Yeah.
Sometimes they even like fight against each other. And sure, Guardians fight too, but like they fight because of their, I would say, inherent differences, and they always get better when the fight ends, right? They always get closer. They always find like mutual
Right.
respect, and it brings them closer. Where in Avengers, I feel like it puts them even further apart whenever they fight, and there's no coming back.
Yeah. What do you think? Like, do you see some like differences between this type of group up movie versus like Avengers, and which one did you prefer?
Well, you gotta also think about it. The Avengers and Galaxy of Guardians are definitely two separate movies, but eventually they come together. Um, with the Avengers, they had their almost like a clique, you know? If you think about like
Mhm.
which characters actually went with each other, and the next thing you know, as a group, and then all of a sudden the pieces started falling together.
Yeah,
While with with the Guardians of the Galaxy, yes, it's almost similar, but all of a sudden the pieces was like a fluid. Like they went together automatically. They had a goal. Let's do this, and they ran with it. So, yeah, I like the Guardians. They told their story in a movie, one movie,
that's true.
versus
Yeah,
the other ones had multiple movies or
leading up to the
cameos or
Avengers.
whatever. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that makes it different as well is the fact that I think John alluded to this slightly. Is like the Avengers, um, they don't necessarily need each other. I feel, or they think they don't need each other. Um,
It's
most
to
of
their
them,
detriment sometimes whenever they have to team up.
yeah, correct. So I feel like Iron Man feels like he can take everything on by himself, and so can Thor. But in Guardians, you see how they're not only working together, but like technically like using each other in the beginning, because they know that they need each other. And I think it was from that necessity that that bond formed, as opposed to like the Avengers. I felt like they were just kind of grouped together because it was needed by Nick Fury, not each other. you know
Yeah.
Hmm.
The Guardians didn't need no Nick Fury. They were just so they they are like one unit to me,
hmm
and they are the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the fucking Galaxy. Now this brings me to a point. Do we need Gamora and Marvel Rivals?
We need her
You know
ass, that's
what's
for sure.
funny? It's funny because I thought about her recently. I was like, yeah, I think we definitely do. I think she'd definitely be that uh melee and range.
I would also grab a big Drax if I had
As
that
a
option as a tank.
as a tank, yeah, I think he'd be great.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about. You always tell me how sometimes like you enjoy the humor in some of these movies, but when a movie relies too much on humor, sometimes you'll get a little bit you know out of it. Do do you think that this movie balanced humor better than some of the other Marvel movies? Do you feel like it's just different? Like some people might think that dance off was ridiculous, but how do you think does the comedy ever undercut any of the stakes for you?
Anyone who would ever call me out on being a hypocrite would be very much well within their rights to do so right now, because I, by every standard that I have mentioned before, should hate this movie. Yet I do not. I cannot quite explain it. I think it's because of the strength of the characters or because of my RP background, where in certain situations, even though it's very serious, even though I try to come across, as someone who does not devalue the situation, of putting my stupid humor in it, there are just certain cases where I cannot help it. And there are certain characters who I just have that chemistry with. And this movie is just, to me, RP. You end up with so many cool situations, with so many cool characters in these cool settings, and the story is what it is. But like, I really enjoyed the comedic undertone in this movie. I think it all worked out really well. I was thoroughly entertained. I didn't really skip that many scenes, except like for some of the space battles. Those have been quite boring, but anytime there was any kind of dialogue, I was just glued in. And I also finally found the quote that I wanted to quote from the Ronan and Thanos, which is, of course, "I only ask that you take this matter seriously. The only matter I do not take seriously, boy, is you. Your politics bore me. Your demeanor is that of a pouty child. And apparently, you alienated my favorite daughter, Gamora." Well, I couldn't quite pull off Josh Brolin as well as Thanos did, but sorry, the opposite way. But yeah, that's the quote that I wanted to say. That was the only moment in the movie where they really, I would say, set up Thanos as someone of a threat and gravitas and substance. And it was a shame that then, freaking Ronan got the Infinity Stone and did his thing, and Thanos went kind of in the background. And yeah, I wonder if Thanos will have his moment to shine, finally at some point.
Yeah. No, but that definitely was one of those like hints that's like, maybe we shouldn't fuck with this guy. Like I always love that subtle hint, and it only comes up even more as it goes. But I always wish that there was more than that, or I wish that they, especially the when we saw that hint of Thanos in Avengers, was like, I just wish it felt like he was puppeteering more than just hiring somebody and forgetting about it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We're here, and
Indeed. But sorry. To final answer your question about the humor, I think that the part that I enjoy the most are just the very well written and funny, hilarious dialogues. Like the "I know who you are, Peter Quill, and I'm not some story-eyed waif here to succumb to your pelvic sorcery."
I think the dialogue and the interactions with with all the characters were brilliant. The comedy that comes from these different personalities is where this movie shines the most. Which I think gets lost in the second movie, but we'll get there.
We definitely will. Can I have one question for Light, if I may?
Mm-hmm.
Light, you strike me as someone who appreciates all things wholesome. Would that be correct?
Yeah.
How did you feel about the scene where they landed like in that filthy location, and suddenly the Guardians of the Galaxy were like swarmed by children, and Groot like stopped for a moment, and he like grew a flower out of his hand and like gave it to one of the girls? How did it make you feel?
I enjoyed that scene. Okay, so when they came, when the kids started swarming, and I can't remember who said, watch your pockets and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're going to steal some shit.
I thought so too.
But when Groot showed like, I mean, we
gentle
seen
giant side, right?
Yes, I thought that was gorgeous. That was nice. That was pretty. Especially like what happened to him. It was like a nice break from the chaos.
Yeah, because
I thought it was the cutest freaking thing I've ever seen.
it was freaking adorable.
Go on.
It was so good. Not just for like a moment in peace for Groot's life there, and just kind of that moment of giving somebody like a bit of happiness. It said so much about the character without us getting this huge or long backstory. Just that one moment. And it also kind of tells you like how dangerous this guy can be, yet how gentle he can be. It's the both sides of the spectrum here, because we seen him kicking ass, and he's kind of scary and OP, like what you mentioned. But then for that gentle moment to happen, it's like, damn, it was backstory for me. That moment was like backstory.
Indeed.
Well, even if I'm not mistaken, like even the collector kind of like said something towards him,
But he
kind
must
of
have
like
him, after his
it's
death.
like it's like almost like a interesting because it's like people probably are don't see a moving tree, in the world. So it's like I would like to know more of his background eventually, whenever that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
go ahead, John.
I'm just so genuinely surprised that they pulled off like so much intrigue from a character that does not speak, or whenever he speaks, he says one line, and like
Right.
he didn't need to. He didn't need to say anything, or whenever he does, it's like a very special moment. But like in a movie where I praise dialogues so much, one of my favorite characters is the one who does not rely on it, which speaks volume.
Because like sometimes it's not about what you say, it's how you say it, and I think that that's exactly what Groot stands for, right? The emotion behind the things that he says and the moment in which he says them, I think say more than what the context is. And so by him just saying I am Groot the majority of the time and changing his inflections and changing, the meaning behind them is crazy, but it it works.
Yeah, and it's amazing because what you just said could also be applied to Drax. Like, at last, I shall meet my foe and destroy him.
Yeah. Drax is like the complete opposite in a very similar way.
Exactly.
So, yeah, like what else can we talk about here?
What about the romance between Star-Lord and Gamora? Are you guys in or are you guys out?
I'm in.
Light?
I would say yeah, I'm in. I mean, you could definitely see in the beginning.
Absolutely, you're in because you're reasonable human beings, and Star-Lord and Gamora need to kiss and stop giving me blue balls. God damn it! Thank you.
Well, it's a good thing that never mind. Not gonna get. Not gonna
No,
get
we
that
will
way.
not talk about the other movies. They are yet to happen, but they will live forever, ever, happily ever after. I'm sure.
Happily
after
ever
this
after.
movie,
Yep.
they wouldn't give me blue balls over several movies, assholes.
Happily ever after, and they'll be dancing every night and everything.
And they will certainly not wipe anyone's memory of it, right? Because they will be fucking cheating.
Nope.
Pricks.
Oh man.
Why must you hate me, James Gunn?
So what are some of the things that you disliked, if any, John?
The arrow was a bit goofy. I love Yondu, but like fucking dropping an arrow nuke on like an entire army, it was a bit unexpected, but like, it's whatever. It's his thing.
Can you imagine Marvel Rivals? All you hear is a damn whistle.
I know, right? Oh, that would be such a cool character. Just wipes out an entire map, with just like one arrow, including his teammates.
It would be really cool if that was like his ult, right? Like you just hear a whistle and then it just goes
his ult.
kills everyone.
Yeah. I think I know we're going off subject, but I could definitely see them as that ult because he's more of a shooter, and I think he also does melee. But yeah. Oh, that whistle! Everybody be like, "Hell no, scram!"
Oh shit! I would be
Everyone
going invisible as Cloak instantly.
Right?
But like, I have very little things to say that I dislike about this movie. I thought that like Groot dying too early and the arrow were probably like the most egregious things, and the treatment of Thanos. But that's like a continuous thing that I've been complaining about. But they will make up for it, of course. So I only have nice things to say. Like, for example, I've never seen a man so much into David Hasselhoff. It's like, okay, interesting. Rocket calling the cops fascists. I thought that was hilarious. Imagine being executed by having your nostrils probed by a tree branch.
Oh my god!
Also, kind of gruesome and interesting way to die. Of course, fucking Kirk from Gilmore Girls. I am just so happy to see him get his paycheck. It's amazing. I love the guy. He's just so incredible. And Rocket just overall being a troll and like demanding Quill to steal a fucking prosthetic leg for no reason. That was such a light thing. She must have. I was like, this is for light. This is for you.
I love those moments too. Just Rocket being a troll for no reason other than just entertainment. One of the things about this movie that I like is that, and Light can probably agree with this, is that it feels like a D&D session. You have
Oh yeah.
you have different characters that are from different backgrounds, all with different personalities, put in a similar position, and they all have to learn to get along to make it work.
Yep.
And the odds are against them, and it's chaos. Like, this is a D&D in the Marvel universe, and it just works so well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I want you all to know that I'm grateful for your acceptance after my blunders. It is pleasing to once again have friends. You, Quill, are my friend. This dump tree is my friend. And you, green whore, are my friend too.
Oh my god, Drax is a fucking mess, bro.
Mm.
And I think Drax is one of those characters that I continue to love. I can't say that for everyone else, but he's just freaking great. But yeah, I also don't really have a lot of negative things to say about this movie. It I think I rated it like 4.5 stars or something like that when it first came out. I know we don't like rate movies like that, but it was immediately something that I absolutely loved, and not just because I got introduced to a whole new cast of characters that I never knew before, but because it was such a thrill of an adventure that Guardians of the Galaxy is actually one of the movies that I've rewatched the most out of the MCU, because I can always go back to watch it and always have a good time with it. Even more so, I think, even though I'll give the edge to Iron Man just because it's a little bit grittier, I think. I think I watched this more than Iron Man just because of the full cast.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I do have some questions, if you guys don't mind, because there were also a few things I would like to explain,
Mhm.
or you to try to explain to me. Like, what the hell is Groot made of? Essentially, like, his body armor was stronger than like a hull of a spaceship. Whenever he like hugs
Yeah.
everyone and turns into this wooden ball. Is that fair? Like, is he that freaking strong that he can like survive and protect whoever is inside, just by using tree branches?
Yeah, I think
I think
it's not just about the material, it's about kind of like the magic that he possesses, kind of.
Oh,
The ability um to regrow himself and things like that, it kind of comes with that. Like, if you notice in some scenes where you'll see chunks of him flying off, I think when he is protecting things, it's kind of like a multi-layered thing. So
mhm.
it gives him the ability to lose chunks and still like protect something. So it's not so much as in like, is this the strongest? Is this like the Wakandan wood? Like,
Yeah.
but more like his ability to regenerate.
interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. I sometimes forget that magic is like heavily involved in this movie, and it's not just about technology and Infinity Stones, but there is literally magic and wizards. So yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, I
So
guess it's just one of his abilities, you know.
yeah, that does make sense. So who the heck is Howard the Duck?
Oh
Am I
my god,
supposed to
he's
know
my
that
favorite
reference?
character.
Fucking Howard the
I
Duck.
love him.
So
He is.
that was an Easter egg.
Oh,
Is it like Stan Lee
oh my god.
of this universe?
He's been a Marvel
Howard the
character for a long
Duck.
time.
Yes, and there is a movie called Howard the Duck,
A live action movie, by the way.
live action. One of my favorite things when I grew up.
It's
And
the fucking
fun
worst.
fact,
I
they
heard
actually
about it.
filmed. They actually filmed some scenes where I lived. So
Oh.
yeah,
Isn't it like super filthy? I think I heard like stories about it. If I'm not mistaken.
It is kind of filthy. Yes.
yeah, it's
He's a
okay.
Oh, so it's like a
perv.
cult classic. Oh, I see.
He's just kind of one of these, like, I don't know. I want to call him like an alley cat or something, but like just like a piece of shit type of like bar guy, you know? And yeah, it's
Mhm.
He's just one of those
Also, he's like a
characters.
sleazy character. Is kind of legendary in the universe.
Kind of, yeah.
And they just gave him like a cool little cameo. Is it because James Gunn was like involved in the production of the original one?
I don't think so, because I'm not really sure the reason, except for the fact that Howard the Duck was a thing back in the day, and I guess this was their way of just bringing him up, or just like a little Easter egg mentioning.
Gotcha. Well, that does make sense. I have no objections to it.
Because in the movie theater, people went ape shit when they saw him.
I did. I admit, I was with my siblings, and then watching the end credits. I was so excited.
I
Just
try
to
to pay
see.
attention to these references because I don't get all of them. Like the space dog is probably the one that Russians sent into space, right?
I believe
The what? I'm sorry.
so. Comic
Yeah.
dog.
Oh, Comet. Yeah.
I only recognize the dog from again Marvel
Oh,
Snap.
Cosmo. Sorry.
Yeah, Cosmo. There we go. We will of course get to hear from her in the upcoming movies, but
Yeah.
this was the first time I saw her, and yet again, just another Marvel Snap card that I immediately recognized.
Yeah, I bet you've seen so many more characters in Marvel Snap than, I mean, obviously the movies don't focus on so many of the expanded characters, but you've probably seen some in, Marvel Rivals, although they also kind of stick with more of the popular ones, but it's kind of interesting to see all these random ones pop up.
Indeed, and I would like to probably end this portion of my notes to kind of bring up once again how good these MCU movies are about pitching like another upcoming movie or like the continuation of the story.
Mhm.
And the way this movie like sets up the second one by just kind of nonchalantly mentioning, that a good thing we never brought him to his dad like we were ordered to. Yeah, that guy is a jackass. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And, when we find out that Quinn is, part of Celestial, what the hell does that mean? I wonder if we're going to explore that in, future episodes of this wonderful journey. Well, it definitely has my attention because I'm hooked. I did enjoy this freaking Marvel movie, The Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it's something as small as that little comment, right? Just plants a seed for like, what does that mean? And where do we go from here? And that's freaking awesome.
I agree.
Which I can't say for how I feel about the second movie, but we'll get there.
I would just like to say that your current comments, M9, will not be the influential factor as to why I will feel or how I will feel about the other movie. Just remember this comment.
I will.
I already made up my mind about that movie
Yeah.
long ago.
I will definitely. It's going to be a good conversation because it's different for me. But yeah, the next movie on our list, and maybe we could have Light back for the next Guardian if she wants to join.
Sure.
The next movie is Avengers: Age of Ultron, so a big team up movie again. They were kind of doing it so that every couple of movies, then boom, another Avengers movie came up. And yeah, we'll see how we feel about this one. I'm really curious again to know what John thinks, because there's some things that I feel like I can nail down, and then there's other things that he surprises me with, like the fact that he really likes Galaxy of the Guardians. Guardians of the Galaxy. I said that backwards.
Yeah, you did.
I feel like the Age of Ultron will be a similar conversation to what we had in the Winter Soldier. I feel like it's going to be on a similar note, and it's definitely a return, back to the gritty, depressive state of affairs.
Yeah. Well, Light, do you have anything else you'd like to bring up about Guardians of the Galaxy? I said it right that time. Before we wrap up.
How about rankings?
Rankings?
Oh yeah, we did not do our rankings. I already have mine pulled up. And
where you did mention like that this movie is probably like not your super favorite when it comes to the MCU universe, or at least the movies that we watched so far, but it is like slightly below Iron Man or above.
So this one is just below Iron Man for me, which puts it in number 4 out of the 11 movies that we've watched. So first for me is The Winter Soldier. Second is Avengers. 3 is Iron Man. And 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think that this is one of those examples that I don't necessarily feel. And immediately after that is Doctor Strange. But the reason that I have to say this is because I don't feel like any of these movies are necessarily. I don't think Iron Man is better than Guardians. I just think they're very different movies and very different experiences. Especially if I bring in Doctor Strange, very different feelings, very different themes. But I really enjoy rewatching them, and I have a lot of fun. And I think out of some of the other ones, you can argue that maybe some are better films than others or whatever. But from a fun factor, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. So this landed number 4 for me.
Makes sense. What about you, Light?
Which I wasn't there to watch all those movies, so I have no idea where my ranking will be at the moment. I'll get back to you whenever we do this again.
Okay, what's your favorite MCU movie? If you had to pick one, even from like
There's
the current
so
ones.
many.
Top 3. Give us top 3. Your favorite and your least favorite.
Okay. I would say I'll go with least favorite. Who I have to be was it Captain Marvel. I was a little disappointed in that. But it's funny because I'll still watch it because of the certain things that's in there.
Boy,
I
I could not wait
did.
to talk about Captain Marvel. Anyway, yeah, what's your favorite?
Let's see. And favorite. Oh, that's so hard. I did like I wouldn't say favorite, but Thor Ragnarok was one of them. Doctor Strange. I know I watched that like forever.
Yeah.
Black Panther.
Yeah, those are strong choices. I think a lot of those go immediately to the top for a lot of people.
Debatable.
Uh-huh.
So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess it would depend on like I guess like
The
the
mood,
flavor of the
right?
month. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what happens, especially when you're ranking so many movies. The way that you're feeling that day or recency bias as well happens all the time. For me, like the movie that I've seen the most recent that resonates with me sometimes will move up the list for me. It just kind of happens. But
Yeah.
What about you, John?
Well. Speaking of recency and the list kind of changing, as the time flows, my least favorite movie is no longer Iron Man 1. It is Iron Man 2. I decided to switch those around because of my dislike towards Elon Musk, and he's present in the Iron Man 2 movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, unfortunately, that puts it at the end of my bottom. Then it's Iron Man 1. So those two just switch places. Then it's Captain America Winter Soldier, of course, much to M9's dismay.
I shook my head. You didn't see me, but I shook my head.
I could only imagine. Then it's Thor, the first movie. Then it's Captain America. And then it's Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Nice.
Pretty much in the middle above Captain. Then it's Iron Man 3. I did still enjoy that one slightly bit more. And then it's Doctor Strange. Then it's The Incredible Hulk. And then it's still Thor, The Dark World at the top.
I feel like you would get burned at the stake with some Marvel fans for having some of those movies above Guardians of the Galaxy. Like the fact that you have not just The Incredible Hulk, but Thor the Dark World above Guardians of the Galaxy is mind blowing, but I love that
The-
for you.
The heart wants what it wants. Okay, I cannot control it.
Yeah.
I told you my reasons in a great detail, and you can either accept it for who I am, or you can tune into the next episode where the rankings will change, I'm sure, again.
Yep. How do you what's your opinion on John's ranking? Like,
She's just speechless.
No, sorry. Something happened, so I didn't hear the last couple minutes.
oh, okay. Did you hear him talking about the rankings?
I heard that Iron Man was number 2
Oh, so
or his favorite or something.
so she didn't hear the whole list. But
There you
Sorry.
go, I posted it in the podcast
oh,
discussion.
there you go. Yeah. So basically, if you took my list or a normal MCU fan list and you sorted it by least favorite, you'll get John's list.
Oh,
And I didn't do it on purpose, I swear, by everything that is holy to me.
No,
okay.
it's just no. I was just telling him that I feel like he would get like burnt at the stake for having Thor: The Dark World and the Incredible Hulk higher than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I see.
It's an interesting list. Very interesting.
It is. That's John's list, though.
It's as interesting as John is. You know, we have to
Mhm.
understand that there should be a disclaimer at the bottom that says, you know, as done by John Aaron, and then everyone would be like, oh, okay.
Oh, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Sounds about right.
But anyway, I love it. I think it only makes these discussions even better. But I'm glad that for this one, we landed somewhere in the middle, and we all kind of really enjoy it.
Mhm.
It's a really good movie. Amazing characters all around. Amazing soundtrack. Great, I would say, expectations for the upcoming movie, because I was kind of disappointed when I watched this one to not see Mantis. You know, I wasn't quite sure
Mhm.
if she's even gonna, because I know her like from Marvel Snap, Marvel Rivals. So I was like, I wonder when she will make an appearance. And what about that Star-Lord guy? You know, there are so many characters I want to see. So I'm very excited to see the other Guardians movies. After this one, I was genuinely hooked, and I couldn't wait to watch the next Guardians movie.
That's awesome. That's when you know that they did a really great job introducing characters,
Mhm.
and just kind of bringing them into the fold. But
But that,
yeah.
I'll keep the butts for the upcoming episodes.
All right. Which we'll probably have a lot of in some of the coming ones. But thank you guys for joining me. Light, thank you for taking some time out of your day and hanging out with us and talking about Guardians. We might bring you in for the next one as well. If you want to continue talking about Guardians, because I feel like the Guardians movies are kind of a ride. But yeah, we'll see when we get there. So thank you guys for hanging out. And thank you guys for listening. And we will see you all next time.
Peace.
Adios.